Good afternoon. Just let me start again. Just installed the V5 ESC into my MTS T3M conversion tourer after a good weekend, long weekend at AOC in Brisbane. More about that later, but I thought I'd just do an upgrade for myself, treat myself to a new ESC. This thing is mental. Easy as to install, Bluetooth connected straight away. Follow the prompts, download the app, follow the prompts. You will not have an issue connecting to the ESC. Connected immediately. I use Android and I had no issues setting it up. It's quick and it works immediately. Every change you make, or every change that I made, it's just tame it down to start on the first race meeting tomorrow, pardon me, at the Geelong Indoor Track. Every change was instant. It literally showed itself immediately. The good example is for the Beck, which you can set at 6 volt or 7.4. Out of the box it comes 6. As soon as on the app I went to 7, bang, RPM of the fan rose immediately. So it's going to be cooling a lot quicker, a lot faster. Just tried giving it, pardon me, just tried giving it a quick spin on the deck here, and the changes that I made were instant after I made the change and ran it on the radio without the Bluetooth connected. It works immediately. It's fantastic. This is better than I expected, and tomorrow will be an interesting day when we actually do some racing stuff. Now, I've got the app on my proper phone. I've got another phone here doing the recording, so we'll see how we go. But I'll quickly turn it on and show you what's actually happening, but I will have to actually disconnect the fan because bloody hell, it's loud. Spinning at 7.4 amps, so 7.4 volts, it is loud and fast, which is a good thing. All right, we'll turn it around. I'm going to do a spin around now to get an idea and run through some of the things with you, okay? So here we go. I'll pause. I'm pausing. Alrighty, we're back again. This is the setup. As you can see, EC's mounted, motor's mounted. I've left the wires 12 gauge here, but what I had to do, because it's so tight and that side there, that's 14 gauge to the battery, which is more than adequate for 13 turn. Very soft, flexible wire I sell. It's been basically twisted, so it's shortened and allowed a lot less to be hanging around all over the place. That's off, because that's going to make a lot of noise. And that's the Bluetooth module. Now, because this is not going to be working as such, I'll just let it dangle there. And I'll go through the module. We've got here. We'll get out of there. Go over to the... There we go. I'll turn this on. Tap of the key. It's now working. Connect. It's asking me to connect, and I will connect, which is BLE. Done. Nice and easy. Worked immediately, which is the best part of it. Settings are very, very easy. Data comes up immediately after a run, so if you do a run, you can actually plug it in and see how it's going. Go back. Firmware upgrade, we don't need to do that at the moment. Bluetooth is on, so don't have to touch that. Settings, here we go. Throttle. I'll have to read through these because it's so intense. There's a lot of stuff there to learn as you go and drive along. To give you an idea, throttle response. By the way, that's the sheet that you get. Read it. It's got a lot of good information on what the functions do, and there are a lot of them. All right, as you see there, throttle response, how quickly it responds. You've got a selection. Scroll up, scroll down. The smaller the number, the quicker it responds. Compatible, throttle comparable rate. Now this one is to control the overall throttle feel. High value has aggressive throttle power to the motor, which is suited for high traction tracks. For lower traction tracks, it's best to set it at a low value. So currently I've got it at, what have I got? 25%. You can go up to 50 quite easily. Throttle off rate is how quickly the motor winds down coming off the throttle. I've set it to 0, which is off, which means as soon as I come off the throttle, it'll actually stop. The motor will not on run, as they say. Deadband, pick and choose depending on the radio you have. I've got a Futaba. It works better on 12% than it does anything else. IP limiter. Okay, IP limiter has a value for more initial power that are suited for high traction, and for low traction it should be a lower value. Now it's anything up to 16, I've put it 8. Not knowing the traction or how hard the motor is going to pull, or how hard it's going to drive, I left it at 8. Limit power. This is an interesting one. To set how much power to limit to the predefined throttle range. Throttle range can be 0 to 30%. I've left it at 0, which means it's going to come on instantly I pull the trigger, not 30% of the trigger value or otherwise. This is dependent on trigger value. So when you look at limit power, it'll limit power up to a certain range of movement of the throttle. Pick wisely. It'll depend on what you're driving on, type of surface. Limit power range. Limit power range to set the throttle range to limit the power. I've set it at 60%. I'm going to try that on the track to see what it actually has, or what effect it has more than anything else. All right, this one I'm not quite sure what's going to be the outcome when I actually do run it. Limit power range, that is the one that I've just spoken about. Oh, maximum power force, maximum forward force, I should say. Maximum forward force. The higher the value, the higher overall power delivery to the motor. Goes without saying, 100%. Unless you know it's not going to work, 100%. All right. Maximum reverse force, 25%. You do not need it any higher than that. And this is only if you run the motor as forward brake reverse, or forward and reverse, okay? We don't. It's set on forward and brake only, so that becomes null and void. Once you've done that, you just hit save, and it's saved, done, and it is instant. Now if I have the fan connected, which would be quite loud, I won't do it, you'll see the difference on some of the values when I actually do start the motor. Now we go to brake. Now brake is self-explanatory. This is nor here nor there in what they give you as choices. It is a matter of picking what suits your driving and the track surface the best. Brake response, the rate it applies. Initial brake force, maximum brake force, I've gone 90%. Initial brake force, as soon as it comes off, as soon as you come to neutral and push the trigger to brake, it'll give it an instant 15% brake to maximum 90% brake force. Drag brake is 15. Forward drag brake response, it comes on at 1 millisecond. So as soon as I push as soon as I let go of the throttle, it's within 1 millisecond the drag brake will come on. Reverse drag brake. Oh, pardon me, losing my voice today. Reverse drag brake force, 100%. There is no reverse anyway, so it's not here nor there. Brake frequency I always set at 4, but you can go 5, 6. You can go lower, and you can go a lot higher. A lot higher is very, very smooth for really slippery conditions. It stops the drag brake grabbing too aggressively, so it stops you that initial slide under brakes. You can go right down to 1, which means all it's going to do is slam the brakes on that hard. We go back to save, we hit save, and it's saved. Simple as that. Hit that, saved, job's done. Then you come to boost and turbo. Now boost and turbo we don't play with unless we're in mod. So I dare say one of our drivers in mod will be the better ones to actually play around with this to see which actually works the most convenient for them. And I'll pass on the information with that as it goes on. Turbo, don't use turbo. It's as simple as that. We don't use turbo in our racing. It's stock, and what I race is stock, so we don't use turbo. Same, our mod driver will have a look at that and have a play with it and sort of come up with an explanation on how or what works best for him. And you can take his ideas and apply it to the mod motors or a mod setup. Okay, and that goes for both off-road and on-road. Okay, then you got general. Here we go. Motors counterclockwise. It's a 2-pole. Running mode is forward and brake. Reverse delay, well, I don't run reverse, so it doesn't matter. Frequency, throttle frequency, 4K. That's what I tend to run most of the time. Keeps the motor running cooler as well, by the way. Now, it's got 1 right up to 32. I like 4. If I need it to go lower or higher, it'll be dependent on the day. So I'll leave that at 4K. Low voltage cutoff, always like it at 3.1, but what you can do is start off auto 3 right up to 3S LiPos, 211 volt, and this will run a 3S LiPo, but I leave it at 3.1 for a standard 7.4 volt cell. Okay, thermal cutoff, your choice, but as a reference, I always run it at 95. Hate going to 105 or 130. Don't like it. That's a personal choice, but you can go higher if you wish. Back output. Now, this is where it became interesting when I tried the settings and setting it while the fan was connected. At 7.4, the fan went nuts. At 6, the fan speed dropped down quite dramatically, but I'm going to leave it at 7.4 because it keeps the fan going a little bit faster. That's it, and then that's the end of that. Then we go back to throttle again. All right, very quick rundown, but I definitely suggest that once you've done that and you have saved your settings, turn everything off, turn that off, which means tap, 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 and press again to exit app, I should say. There we go, all done. Cool, easy. Very well designed, really simple to follow. But to get an idea of what everything does, I definitely suggest the sheet that comes out in the box, which is landscape, 2 columns in A6. Definitely go through those to understand what each one does. You don't want to get yourself caught out in a position where you've done a change and you have no idea what's happening with the car. It might be too fast, too slow, too aggressive, not aggressive enough. Read these to understand it, and then apply what you think you need to the track and quickly change what you need to change in between. That is a roundup of what the ESC is like. Some of the things, there's more I'll go into depth during racing tomorrow at Geelong, but that is a nice clean fit. The wires fit nicely. The Bluetooth plugs in easily and gets removed easily by just gently pulling the wire, not yanking the wire out. You don't want to be a monkey and try and just reef things out just because you can. The fan is fast on 7.4, so cool the ESC really well. I'm going to spin it around so this wire doesn't cross the front here and goes into the port a lot easier. Leave that as it is. 14 gauge, as I said, I've changed it because it is quite stiff going these short sections, and it doesn't clear the belt well enough if you try and actually have it coming over. 12 gauge is more than what's needed. I'm going to change that to 14 because I know it'll work with 14. It's still flexible by all means, but it just looks a little bit clunky, that's all. Other than that, it is fantastic. It is mentally good how well it's set up so easily. There shouldn't be any issues for anyone setting it up, regardless of who they are or who they may be. If you've got any questions, drop us a line, give us a call. I'll see you at the track, and we'll prove what this thing can do tomorrow. Take care, guys. Have a good night, and look after yourselves. Racing's tomorrow, Sunday, at Geelong here in Victoria, Australia. I'll put some posts up of what it can and can't do, and we'll take a little bit more depth look into it and what the changes mean depending on the track that we're running on. Take care. Have a good night.